When does the beer get here?
Yeah.
I was thinking I was actually going to go get some Alaskan smoked porter from the store, and so we could be drinking it. But
Yeah, that's great.
you need a beer?
3, 2, 1. You guys are live.
We are live from FH Steinbart, huh? Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Mark Gillette, sales manager here at FH Steinbart, and I'm here with Phil Newman.
Yep, got it.
Newman. I wanted to make sure I pronounce it. From Mainstem Malt out in southeastern Washington. He's in here to talk about some malts that we carry from him, craft malting. Maybe I'll just turn it right over to you, Phil.
Yeah.
Talk about Mainstem. What makes Mainstem different and a good reason for someone to choose it or try it?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, thanks to Steinbart for having us here and giving me an opportunity to talk about craft malt and Mainstem. I think just real quickly, craft malt in general is just this awesome dynamic for anyone into beer, whether brewers or distillers or just a fan in the consumer base. But Mainstem Malt, we joined the craft malt community in 2014 with a bit different, unique of an angle in that we wanted to use malt as a way to empower family farms to improve their practices and implement some conservation strategies on their farms. And so we do a lot of innovative things in the malt supply chains that we work with, but the focus is always on driving that on-farm conservation.
Right. Yeah. So in that, the traceability of all the malts, and we talked about it earlier, is that part of the naming convention in the malts talks about areas where it's from, such as Willamette Valley. And I think that's where like Goshi Farms. Mm-hmm. She's like 4th generation hop farmer here in Oregon, at least.
Yep, Century Farm for sure.
Yeah, and her nephew runs Crosby Hops. And then you have Athena, which I'm not familiar where Athena is in Oregon.
Just outside Pendleton.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's a nice growing region. And then,
great.
I know we have Walla Walla. Is there any other locations that we're growing in?
Yeah, this year we added Horse Heaven Hills, the driest place that we're working in, and we did some triticale there, which was our first triticale, and also we added a grower in the Palouse region as well. Okay. So outside of town of Rosalia, Latah is the closest town.
Oh,
so
nice.
Yeah, pretty big spread across a pretty diverse range of temperature and moisture and precipitation.
All right. Yeah. Well, maybe we should talk about some of the malts that we're carrying, and we've been carrying at least 4 malts, and now we've upped the ante on that. We have some Vienna malt that then was smoked over alderwood, which I'm really excited about. A few other people are excited about around here. It's a limited supply. We'll be launching a kit of Alaskan smoked porter using alderwood smoked malt. There you can get it really traditional recipe. Also really excited about the new one. It's a dark honey malt. So it's like in the 30 to 40 kind of level bond range.
Yep.
It tastes really nice, like chewing on the grain. I think it could be interesting. I was obviously leaning towards probably some kind of Belgian or something might be fine with it. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to the English pale malt. Yeah, I like good English pale malts.
The Lion Barley.
Yeah, Lion Barley. Yeah, that's really interesting. And then we have the Genie Pilsner and the Genie Pale. Mm-hmm. And then we have a soft white wheat and the light Munich wheat, which has been used by a couple people around here with great success and really enjoying the character getting out of it. I think one of our staff made sort of a smash up of a Munich Dunkel Hef and Grotzer, which is a smoked wheat beer. And she got a lot of good compliments on that. Unfortunately, she didn't win because the IPAs usually win. But it was a really great tasting beer.
Yeah, we're excited about that light Munich hard red wheat. Mm-hmm. It does some really interesting things in beer. You get that really nice rich like sourdough flavor, but also it's the color actually in a longer boil seems to seems to come out.
Yeah.
Gives a beer a really nice red hue.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we've had folks use just 5% in a beer. We've had folks go almost 100%.
Right.
And
Nice.
more brew in the bag or with the help of some rice hulls.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting back to the kind of the nomenclature for our malts.
Yeah.
It's really what we want to do, and everything is tied back to the farm, like I said before. And so all of our products, when you go to our website, the Steinbart website, now I believe it's vintage, crop year, locale, so the growing region or location, some grain descriptor, typically the varietal of barley, and then the recipe. So that's more than a mouthful in most cases, but what we're trying to do is really is express that each malt that brewers can work with, that's a Mainstem Malt, provides that window back to the very specific time and place of origin, and in doing so allow them to to really get into the concept that beer is and specifically through malt is this rich agricultural product. And the more we know about that origin story, the more creative or more the more expressive we can get in the brewing process.
Right.
More
And
like
I think it
winemaker.
gives the drinker or the purchaser a connection with it, with it, its locality. It takes that locality to another level, I think.
Yeah.
And I think people are looking for it, especially out here. I know that for sure. Yeah.
It's not going to be everyone that cues in with a high degree of excitement.
Sure.
But it's a growing segment, we believe, and something not to be ignored, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's one aspect. Like when I talk to people about your malts, I talk about the concept behind about traceability and the naming conventions. But I also talk about yours and any of the other companies I'm carrying, what makes it unique. And then I always get people to taste. I believe in tasting the grain.
Right.
Put some in your mouth, chew it. Even if it's a crystal malt or something, you got to chew on it a little bit. It gives you an idea. I've been doing that since I started home brewing. I teach everyone to do that. Don't put hops in your mouth. Pellet hops is not tasty, but grains,
Yep.
Yeah,
put it down.
Yeah, it's good.
And hot steeps too.
Yes, that's what I got to work on. I haven't done that, but we're going to start talking about those soon, putting up directions, probably do some little workshops right around here in Portland on hot steeps so that people can compare malts and get impressions of what they're going to do.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So I had a question,
Sure.
or at least give us a little bit more. Like, so you have this alderwood smoked malt, and obviously I said I was excited when I found out you had it, but there was a very particular reason why you guys were making this. There was a customer, I think, that was asking for it, and this would be interesting to people. What other customers are buying your malts?
Yeah, so that's specifically with this Vienna alder smoke. We had a request from a distiller, Malga Distillery in Juneau, Alaska. They're big fans of alder smoking everything, as specifically fish as a preservation method. But they were excited to. They've been excited about our malt because we're the only supplier of salmon safe certified malt. So our growers are implementing practices that are compatible with long-term recovery of native salmon populations in the Northwest. So they were definitely keyed into that, but they said, like, could we do something smoked, specifically alder smoke, for a line of whiskey that they wanted to do. And nice thing about craft malt, it's very much eye-to-eye relationships. So there's not a big scale mismatch between the customer and your average craft brewer distiller customer and the maltster. So yeah, we're definitely able to meet that enthusiasm with a new product. So we started making this through our malting right now. The past couple of years has been done through Skagit Valley and Link, I should mention. And then we're working on our own malt house now in Walla Walla. But Skagit was able to do a an alder smoke. We asked them, they asked what kind of base we wanted to go with, what was the style that we wanted to smoke. And we agreed with Amalga that would be fun to do a Vienna to get some extra depth to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been a real hit. We've done 2 batches so far of smoked malt through Skagit, so 16 tons, and yeah, majority of that's been going up to Alaska. But we've also made Migration will be doing a smoked stout
Nice.
with it, as well as let's see, locally in Walla Walla, we had a smoked Vienna lager that ended up delicious, just really smoky up front, smooth, crisp, drinkable. After the second sip, it starts to fade, and you could drink 2 pints easily.
I think I could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's one we're excited about. We're excited about smoking more malts and experimenting with that further.
Yeah. So we touched on some breweries that are brewing. Maybe let's touch on a few other breweries that we know of, locally here in Portland, but since we're live on the internet, so there's going to be people that might be fans of us or fan of you. In other places, how far is your malt going?
Yeah. Yeah, in the Portland area, I mean, Hopworks has been a go-to customer for us. They're champions of the Same and Safe certification and other eco label kind of certifications, and Christian Edinger's on the Same and Safe board. So yeah, a lot of influence there. We're excited to continue with Migration. Ex Novo Culmination.
All right.
Yeah. Just stopped at McMenamins and Level today.
Nice.
And hopeful that those will start turning into some delicious beers, those relationships. But the furthest our malt has gone is went to Colorado, to New Belgium last year, and went down to Sierra Nevada, California. So
would that be the pale, the award-winning pale?
Yep, we sent some of that down there. Yeah. And
which we carry.
Yep, that's a good one. Yeah, Craft Maltsters Guild, the Craft Malt Conference this year. We took home a silver medal for the 2018 Walla Walla Genie Pale. Great go-to base malt, tons of flavor. Genie barley is a powerhouse when it comes to like just a rich backbone. We do pilsners with it, but they end up being a little bit hardier of a pilsner, more like a Czech pilsner. It's tough to get, and we find with the Genie, it's tough to get it to stay light. So different barley varietals turns out pick up color much differently. So some are conducive to staying light. Others pick up color pretty rapidly. So,
all right.
I should say distillers are really the customers that have, like, I'd call like the real early adopters in the kind of products we see our malt enabling. So the idea that you can sort of wineify whiskey or wineify beer and treat malt more like a wine grape in the production of those things. And that is something that, like, you're just trying to delicately carry along and not screw up, rather than throw a bunch of different ingredients and create more of like a red blend equivalent. So the distillers, it's American single malt whiskey distillers, namely Westland and Copperworks in Seattle, and then Amalga in Juneau. Yeah, they're really liking the fact that they can take a single field of grain and see it malted and take it through brewing and distillation and isolate the dynamics of varietal and vintage and locale. So they can take, say, 2 2018 Genie barleys, but one grown in Athena and one grown in Walla Walla, or one grown in 2017 full pint, one grown in the Willamette Valley and one grown in Walla Walla, and start to see is there a difference?
Yeah, that's really interesting at that level. Yeah. So Joe, our engineer,
Yes, sir.
any questions coming through, or you have
We
any
don't
thoughts?
we don't have any questions, but I think it'd be worthwhile to share that we have the smoked alders available in limited quantities on the site, and we're also running a special for the next couple days on the Mainstem other products, not the dark honey and the alder, but the others. We're doing I believe it's 10% off.
Fantastic.
So maybe repeat that. I think, is it as of tonight after we're done here, or there's some specials on our malts for Mainstem that we'll be running?
We're multifaceted. It started while you guys were talking.
It started while we're talking. All right, so
that's why you got to tune in, because the hot deals come out.
Right on the show. Out there and shop, make something interesting.
Yeah, love it. Tell us how it works out for you. Yeah.
So, what else is about the malts? Let's see here. I've enjoyed brewing with a couple of them. Like I said, I did the pale in the smoke porter test batch. That's good. We talked about the Munich.
That smoked porter is an award-winning recipe, right?
It is an award-winning recipe.
Long term.
That beer has been brewed. I think it's November 1st. Every year since 1988, they brewed it. And in fact, beer mongers, where I like to hang out here in town, they do a vintage vertical of it every now and then. Usually around this time, they'll have a couple bottles. So he buys cases of it and he stashes it, and then he creates verticals of it. It's really fun.
Yeah, they put
it's only about 6.5, but it holds up to a vintage pretty good.
Well, smoke preservation, I guess.
Smoke preservation.
Yeah, it's interesting with getting back to that, smoking a malt. Jeff Larson, Alaskan Brewing. I think, he deserves a hefty dose of credit for the alder smoked malt. They were buying. Well, they consume a lot of Vienna malt, is my understanding, and they were buying in. They started to make that beer. They're buying in malt and container loads of malt, and then sending it across the street to
a commercial smoker,
a fish smoker, and smoking large batches of
so clear all the fish out and smoke some malt for a couple hours, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I guess they did a good job of clearing out the fish, but so they were able to build a novel supply chain for Alaskan alderwood smoked malts, and then turn it into an award-winning beer. And we had the opportunity to go and visit Juneau and meet with Jeff last summer. And impressive facility, very ambitious individual, and excited to be carrying on the alder smoke tradition.
I guess I should talk about the beer, and most people who know me closely don't question it at all. They just, of course you're gonna do this. I plan to make 100% alderwood smoked beer. It's basically after the tradition of some of the Norwegian farmhouse. I forgot the name of it right now, but there is one region where they actually home smoke traditionally their own malt over alderwood.
Sure.
And it's like 7 to 8% beers at least. And I'm looking forward to that idea. Just that huge smoke flavor.
Yeah. Imagine that would be a perfect just bunch of small glasses passed around the table, and
I don't know if they're very small glasses in the land of the Vikings.
That's right.
So it's probably an acquired taste.
Imagine.
But just like some of the German smoked beers, I've heard the claim that going to Bamberg and like their full-on Rausch beers, they say you drink 2 pints and then you're hooked, but you have to drink 2 pints. And I used to joke, I was like, well, 2 pints, and I'm going to have another beer, of course. Doesn't matter what the beer is. Right?
So. Slippery slope. Well, I'm excited to see how that, how the full smoked malt bill works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be good. Yeah, we'll bottle some up. If I don't see you, I'll send it out to you guys. Or Phil from Fortside, or not Phil, but Paul.
Yeah. Yep.
Fortside. He's after me to share some beers when he hears that I'm making beers, and he wants to get together and do a bottle share. So
yeah.
I got one of his beers. It's a Belgian quad, I think. I'm not sure if he used Mainstem in it or not. It was like an anniversary beer from last year or something.
Yeah, we had I think they had one called Grand Couve.
Grand Couve, yeah. For the Grand Vancouver, yeah.
And anyways, that was a made with Mainstem beer. Yeah, Fortside. Another loyal account in the North Bank.
North Bank, is that what we call it out there? Yeah. Well, they're growing out there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mark, question: how have you seen people in the store? Some of the customers use the Mainstem products.
How have I seen customers in our store right now using Mainstem?
Mm-hmm.
I think the most common thing is people ask some questions about, I want a Pilsner malt, or if I introduce them just to the craft malt area, and in my usual way, get them to try it. They're just kind of swapping out in a recipe usually, or they come in, maybe they're going to do a lager. Lagers are really growing, and Pilsner malt just flies out the door right now. It's lagers, but then the lighter color for all the hazies that everyone was making. So yeah, Pilsner across the board is like our fastest selling malts. So I've been seeing people, I've been encouraging people to try stuff to switch it out. And I know you had some in here. We had some in for the club that we support, the Oregon Brew Crew. They went directly to you, I think. And it was before we had started. We were in the process of negotiating and bringing it in, so they didn't know.
Yeah.
But they brought in some Lion. Was it a pale? Maybe? I'm not sure. They brought in two varieties, and then the project it was for.
Yeah, that's the
didn't work out.
Pure water brew.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, the pure water, but they all brewed with it.
Yeah.
So I think I'm getting some good feedback on, and maybe that. Good. I figured what we do is we get people to brew with it, and they see the uniqueness of flavor, that they can set their beers apart.
Yeah.
That's when I get them hooked.
Well, like to see that. I get a good amount of support. We get a good amount of support on Instagram feed from Michelle Ryder.
She's an employee. She did that beer with the Munich.
Yep. Yeah, that was the probably one of the biggest hard red light Munich beers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I remember that someone filtered through with one of the larger guys here. We'll not name names, but supposed story is that they're researching and making their own light Munich wheat. And I was like,
cool.
Must be doing something right if the big guys are chasing you.
Well, that's the name of the game for craft maltsters. Don't expect to stay with just set it and forget it at this point. Mm-hmm. The name of the game is running as fast as possible out in front of the larger producers. Yeah. So try to be as innovative as we can and set a new model, set a new pace.
Right. Well, we'll go back to something you were talking about, and it's something that I've said to people. I think I was talking about it even at the Craft Malt conference when I was meeting all of you guys who had started supplying me, and I hadn't met you yet. And then everyone else is handing me their card, wanting me to carry their malt. It reminds me of the early days of just craft brewing, and it still is that way in some levels, at least in Portland. There's a very, not just camaraderie, but helping each other out, working with things, mm-hmm. helping solve problems, and I see craft malters doing that. Like you guys work with Skagit and Link, and it seems like that same energy. So that to me gave me excitement about the industry too. It's not just a bunch of people out here, okay, we're going to make some malt and keep our heads down. No, it's a learning thing because we, the market has been dominated by some large corporations and making fine malt. but I think
Yep.
there's always room for something like this. I think we're moving towards changing beer to another approach to changing beer.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is very collaborative. And right now the general understanding amongst craft maltsters is if we're competing against each other right now, it's misguided.
Yeah.
There's a much bigger market that we can develop together,
Right.
with a big smile on, and showing the industry that we can have fun. We can work together.
Right.
We can be constructive, not destructive.
Right.
There's really at the heart of it, what we're all trying to do is relocalize grain sourcing and malt sales. So it's not the case for when you buy from a larger maltster. You're dealing with in many cases multinational supply chains. So grain coming from Canada or Australia or any number of places around the world, being blended together and produced in large batches, and then divvied up and stepped down through distribution and wholesalers. And it's a model. And like you said, making a bunch of very good malt. Quality has typically not been the shortcoming of that model, but you lose your connection with agriculture. Until before craft malt, you weren't able to go to a local farmer and as a brewer and work with their grains.
Yeah, and that leads me to someone brought out a comment to me. So the large malters, and they're bringing this malt from it, and they take it and they start doing some blending, because they're at that level, like many corporate things, that they need a consistent product all the way across. People are expecting it when they're producing that. It's not that you wouldn't be seeking a consistent product on the smaller level, but there is variation. And I think in Mainstem's model, it's almost thriving on that, because you're thriving on the land and the season.
Yeah.
And you're actually probably trying to seek ways to accent that, I guess.
Yeah. I'm glad we're on this this thread. It's an important one. So that's a big source of pushback, I guess, initially against craft malt, is how you ever going to get consistent enough to serve craft beer in a meaningful capacity.
Well, yeah, because there's this move towards very consistent beer, and even existing breweries that have been around, and we can argue back and forth on it, but I interrupt, so continue.
Yeah, I mean it's important to frame what the value is we're bringing to the table, and figure out how to like access that value. And so I think it would be I think misguided a bit to expect a craft maltster to feed into Black Butte Porter and have it work out seamlessly
at the scale that's working,
and increase quality and everyone be happy.
Right.
But what you can do, brewers have the ability to adjust their processes and read a spec sheet, and what craft malt allows, specifically what we're trying to do with Mainstem, allows a brewer to do is say, okay, well, this year this malt is going to be a certain quality, and they should expect that recipe or batch to batch what Mainstem is offering them is going to be consistent. But once we switch grain lots, it's a new expression of that varietal, for example. So homebrewers are probably the best people to be driving this kind of value, this really subtle, like,
I agree. And it's something I put forward when I was at the conference, when I was asked to speak, is when there's a lot of the younger malt companies there getting started, I said, seek out your homebrewers and your homebrew clubs. Offer a little free malt or discounts, get them to play with it. They'll give you feedback on it.
Yeah. And so looking at it as an exciting thing to figure out what that difference is going to be when the grain switches over in the following year. So that doesn't have to be a scary thing.
Right.
Maybe if you're packaging for retail distribution,
Yeah.
6-packs, for example, it could be a little bit frightening, but especially like just a 750 milliliter bottle, for example, very, I think a very great case to be able to highlight the grain vintage, for example, where it came from, or all of these brewers are putting out lots of special release 4-pack 16 ounces in cans. Like these are perfect ways to just say this is a unique expression of time and place. We've done, as a brewer, we've embraced that. We've done what we can to work with those differences, and here's what we came up with.
Yeah, it feeds totally into the like there was an article talking about the true seasonal is gone, and now we just have constant change because we're always looking for that new flavor. It seems to be focused a lot in like certain styles. However, I think the malt and that creating the locality, that's going to feed into it. The thought popped in my head is that you guys are growing malt. You guys brew at the malt house. So
right now we've been pretty scrappy in terms of a startup, and we are really just getting started with our construction. Well, we have malting equipment being built right now. We'll get into our tenant improvements at the facility here shortly. Should be next month, and part of that will be a small brew kit. Yeah. And so we'll be doing a lot of home brewing.
Get something.
Yeah, I hear. Fortunately, we also have what we call a customer innovations team, and so we have a group of professional and pro-am brewers and distillers throughout the Northwest who all brew with the malt on their own systems, and both at home and with in their day jobs. So we've been working vicariously through them in getting our our finger on the pulse on what the quality we're creating.
Live testing of the grain and
but ultimately the vision is to have Walla Walla be a destination where folks can come, whether they're brewers or distillers or just fans, come to the facility, take a self-guided tour of the grain fields during the growing season. Everything, if you haven't checked out the Mainstem Malt website, check out Farm Story, and you can see every field that we've worked in to date. So you can go and do the tour anytime you're in the Walla Walla area, or Athena, or now the Palouse. But someplace, the facility in Walla Walla being a place where someone could go check out the grain fields, come in, watch the malting being done, see us working on the pilot brew house to try to push the limits of what we think is possible with our malt, and also to be able to have a small tasting room, much like Admiral Maltings, which folks should check out in the Bay Area, in Alameda. They have a floor malting facility and a pub that overlooks the.
I've only heard stories, and I'm really jealous, and I want to go down and see the guys down there.
Fantastic.
They're the first guys I saw at the malt conference. They were on my plane, and they were a couple seats ahead of me, and then all of a sudden I heard them talking. I was like, wait a minute, I know you guys. You guys are going to the conference. Yeah. Then I find out one of them that's owned one of the brew pubs that I used to go to when I lived there. In fact, the two owners have started the brew pubs, Thirsty Bear and Magnolia, that I drank at when I was living there in my 20s and in college.
Lots of rich stories like that.
Stories,
They call it, some people call it relationship malt.
Relationship malt. Yeah, there we go.
But anyways, the idea being with whether it's what Admiral's doing or what we want to do in Walla Walla is going to be able to engage the brewing and distilling, beer and spirits drinking public with a supply chain that's been largely obscured for the whole life of craft beer. So
I think it's going to be exciting for people to come and see the facilities.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that as home brewers, we all have knowledge of, and you see diagrams, and very few of us actually get to see the actual process.
Yep.
I've got the lucky chance of seeing the process up here at Great Western.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Cool
forward
plant.
to seeing. Yeah, it is quite interesting. And they've been there a long time. Natasha, who works with us, she was out in Colorado, and I hooked her up with the boys over at Troubadour.
Nice.
So we got a little tour there to see what they're doing with their sweetness, as Christopher likes to talk about.
Sounds about right.
Christopher, I hope you're watching. And she also touched base with the people over at Root Shoot.
Yeah.
Who we don't quite have in yet. We're still kind of feeling out our right balance of brands.
Yep.
To carry. But I always leave the door open.
I should say that you guys are doing a fantastic job at bringing in craft malt, interesting craft malt from around the West.
Yeah, well, what is it? It was the spring right before the homebrew conference when I was here, and we had our two local Oregon ones, and then we just started springing for all you guys and just started filling it in there. Yeah, just like doubled my grain room in a matter of a couple months.
Wow.
But I've been enjoying it, and customers are enjoying it.
Well, it's exciting.
Yeah, I think we.
How are we doing on time?
We got about 30 minutes in there. The engineer looked like he was falling asleep.
Success.
Giving us the thumbs up. So maybe we should wrap it up or something.
Sure.
So again, Mainstem Malts, Southeastern Washington.
Yep. Walla Walla.
Walla Walla. And we have, I think we have 6 to 8 grains now in-house.
Awesome.
Special deals on our website. Check them out. You'll see a recipe for all grain at least, and a kit in extract with specialty grains to make your own version of Alaskan smoked porter with alderwood smoked malt. Thank you for joining us.
Follow us on Instagram.
Follow them on
Facebook,
Instagram. Follow us all.
FH Steinbart.
Yep.
At Mainstem Malt.
Yeah.
Tell us how your brewing goes. We'd love to hear about it.
Yeah. I always post about the beer I'm making, and I get lots of thumbs up from the Mainstem guys. Thanks for using my malt.
Yeah. Hey, we're all in this together.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again for coming in.
Thanks, Mark.
Cheers.
Thanks, Joe.
I think that was